that the most segregated hour in American life is 11 a.m. on a Sunday. It's just a factual legacy of this nation's history with race and religion that there are predominantly white churches and there are black churches. But what do you think of when you think of a black church? Probably something like this. Now, you may even think of images such as these. But what you probably don't think of is this.
What a nice welcome. Thank you.
That is the reaction to Donald Trump at what nearly every major media outlet reported was his visit to a black church in Detroit, Michigan, one of the 10 blackest cities in America, with a population that's about 78% African American and a poverty rate topping 33%. In other words, it would be hard not to fill a Detroit church with black people. So now I want you to look with your eyes. Just look with your eyes again at this crowd. Is what you're seeing here what you would write in a headline is a black church? And yet, here was the headline in the New York Times: Trump, in pitch to black voters in Detroit, cast Biden as anti-black. And the Washington Post: Trump portrays rampant crime in speech at black church in Detroit. In the Associated Press: Trump blasts immigrants for taking jobs as he courts voters at a black church MAGA event in Detroit. The Detroit Free Press even ran a photo series online with the headline: Trump visits Detroit church to woo black voters. But what they somehow forgot to show was how overwhelmingly white that crowd was.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the number one culture vulture in cable news, Joy and Reid, okay, who is triggered by the fact that Trump this weekend went to Detroit and got support and love in a primarily black church. Now, Joy Reid is questioning the blackness of this church because the church had people of all colors that attended to support Trump, and for whatever reason, that makes the church less black, right? This is what she's saying. However, it seems that she was mysteriously quiet when Joe Biden gave his speech at a black church, and the crowd wasn't all black.
Ceasefire in Palestine. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Wow, look at all those white people in the so-called black church that Biden is speaking at. The church must not be an actual black church. But then again, it makes me think about the sad reality of having segregated churches. I don't think that religion or practicing your faith is a place for segregation. In fact, as I've gotten older, I've just went to churches that keep it short and sweet, right? Okay, because, churches that tend to be predominantly black, they take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. It's just like, you know what? I think I like my praise and worship to be more efficient, right? So for me personally, the churches that tend to be more white, right, they tend to keep it short and sweet, okay? So I'm just saying. That's probably the biggest difference that I've noticed between predominantly black versus predominantly white churches. But, I go to a church that is, I feel like for the most part, pretty integrated. Okay. So me personally, I just think it's weird when people try to judge the authenticity of a church based off the people that show up, the skin color people that show up when a political candidate comes into town. I think it's kind of weird to do that, but that is what Joy Reid is doing because she is mad, right? She's triggered at the fact that Trump is reaching out to black voters and it is working, okay? At least it's working enough for it to affect the outcome of the election when it comes to Biden's black support, because Biden is going to need at least 90% of black people to support him to win. Okay, if Trump chips away at the black voter base of the Democrat Party, which it looks like he is, okay, the polls are showing that Trump is getting upwards of 20% of the black vote. Trump is going to win in a landslide. Okay, it's not even going to be close. And again, people like Joy Reid, they have to do their job as the propagandists of the Democrat Party and to, again, smear any type of event that Trump does where he is speaking to black voters or predominantly black voters is inauthentic. Okay, it's not real, which is hilarious to me because Joy Reid is the child of African immigrants. Okay, she doesn't have any real connection, okay, historically speaking, to the so-called black church, but she feels like she's an authority figure that can speak on something that she really doesn't know much about. Okay, this is why I call her a culture vulture. Okay, she's a caricature of a black woman, and she's not just going to be triggered by Trump getting love in the so-called black church. She's also going to be triggered by white boy summer. Okay, she's going to say that white boy summer is cultural appropriation. Okay, this is what she's going to claim here in this little rant that she's going to go on in continuation of Trump's successful trip to Detroit.
The visit to Detroit this weekend was characterized by most of the media as a visit to a black church to court black voters, despite the noticeable scarcity of black people in the sanctuary. But that was not his only stop in the Motor City. Shortly after having his religious experience, slandering immigrants and banging on about crime, just as immigrant Jesus would have done, the twice impeached 34-count felon and adjudicated sexual assaulter, who's soon to be the Republican presidential nominee, shuffled over to the People's Convention, hosted by right-wing Turning Point USA, founded by anti-Dr. King and Black Pilots activist Charlie Kirk. And what was one of the messages shared with participants at that gathering? Not one I suspect would go over so well at church. That right there is right-wing Pizzagate conspiracy theorist Jack Posobiec unfurling a flag reading "White Boy Summer," while hats with the same slogan were tossed to the screaming audience. For those who may not remember, and why would you, "White Boy Summer" was originally a line from a viral 2021 social media rant by legendary actor Tom Hanks's lesser-known son, Chet Hanks. The rant played off Megan Thee Stallion's hit 2019 song, Hot Girl Summer.
Hey guys, look, I just wanted to tap in really quick. I just got this feeling, man, that this summer is, it's about to be a white boy summer. You know, take it how you want. I'm not talking about like Trump, NASCAR type white. I'm talking about, me, John B., Jack Harlow type white boy summer. You know what I mean?
Oh, Chet. As you might expect, folks made fun of young Chet, even as the Jamaican accent parroting culture vulture launched a line of T-shirts and even a rap song for it.
So again, I think that it's just hilarious to me that Joy Reid, who has blonde hair, okay, blonde hair, she took off the blonde wig, okay, she had to take out the blonde wig for this segment because it would have just been too ironic here, okay? But she still has blonde hair, right? Which is not her natural hair color, by the way, okay? Because she secretly wants to be a white woman. But because she knows that she can't actually be a white woman, she plays as a character of a black woman that is a descendant from slaves, okay? She tries to throw herself in there with the reparations people and the conversation around that as if she's actually going to be eligible for reparations. She wouldn't be because she is the child of African immigrants.
And to find out that literally Barack Obama's 2 terms as president are your reparations, and Juneteenth, which you already celebrated anyway, is your reparations. And yet you built this country. You literally physically built this country. And yet the attitude toward you from a lot of your peers and your fellow citizens is just shut up and be grateful. And it's infuriating.
And because of that, it's just so hilarious to me to watch her try to check people for cultural appropriation or being culture vultures when she's the biggest culture vulture on television, right? I mean, she culturally appropriates white women every single day. She also is culturally appropriating black women as well, too, because she ain't really black American, okay? She's not. She is a descendant of African immigrants, okay? That's just the fact. So again, it's just so hilarious to me that this lady tries to gatekeep a culture that's not hers, while at the same time culturally appropriating other groups of people. It's so funny, bro. It's so hilarious. It's like this woman just lacks awareness, okay? She completely is unaware of the irony and hypocrisy of what she's doing here. It's so funny to me.
The music video. White Boy Summer quickly took off as a hilarious meme, and people had a legit good time with it. But it wasn't long before the thirsty far right and white supremacists decided it was time to cancel everyone's fun and culturally appropriate the cultural appropriation for their own purposes.
Amazing.
Using the phrase in their online memes to try to attract unsuspecting white youth to their cause. The Anti-Defamation League describes their tactics, writing that while some White Boy Summer memes include white supremacist neo-Nazi symbols, such as swastikas or references to the white supremacist 14 words slogan, other White Boy Summer promoters are tactically watering down their content to attract less extreme users and disseminate their content widely. One Telegram account outlined the plan, encouraging users to strategically create content without the use of fascist or Nazi symbols so normies can get in the mood for White Boy Summer and not get scared away. I don't know how many in that Detroit audience grasping at the pink hats knew what they were signing up for. Or maybe they just wanted a free hat, and I'm not sure how many at a conference like that one would be considered normies. But Jack Posobiec sure knew what he was doing when he strutted across that stage with that flag, because he's a professional fascism-curious right-wing troll. And at this stage, White Boy Summer is no longer a funny Chet Hanks meme. It's an explicit white supremacist message, no different than when Trump says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country, or that black...
Well, that's not what he said. Okay, see, again, you see how these people lie, right? Immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country. That's not what he said. Okay, he was talking about illegal immigrants. But anyways... yeah, Lord forbid the white man celebrate himself, right? That is what she's upset about, because she was triggered about what Chet Hanks did, and now she's trying to justify being triggered by it by saying, well, it's been adopted by the far right. The far right has adopted White Boy Summer. Therefore, it is a neo-Nazi rallying cry. Well, if that's the case, then Black Girl Magic is a black supremacist rallying cry, right? If you want to play that game. Okay? Again, it's just so funny to me how the white man can't celebrate himself at all, right? White people can't celebrate white accomplishments, okay? But every other group can celebrate themselves, love themselves, be proud of who they are, okay? Like, it's normal to say, I'm proud to be black, right? You can say that and nobody's going to look at you weird. But if you come out and say, I'm proud to be white, people will give you the side eye. As if, you know, hey, you're wearing some type of Klan hoodie, right? Just because you're saying you're proud to be white. And I think that's wrong, because I personally don't think there's anything wrong with the white man celebrate themselves. Again, if that's what we're doing here, right? If everybody else in society can celebrate themselves because of their race, okay, then why can't white people do it? I don't get it, right? I mean, I walked in the store, I saw a wine that never sells in any store that I'm at, by the way, I mean, called Black Girl Magic. And I'm like, who the hell buys this? And I thought I was like, man, I need to make a wine or a drink called White Boy Wasted, right? That's what I need to do. Okay. If that's what we're out here doing. Okay. I'm just saying. You know, I think that Joy Reid is just triggered in general by this idea of white people, you know, having a good time and, you know, celebrating themselves and, you know, having a white boy summer, right? I think that's what she's triggered by more than anything.
Like him because he's a criminal, or that black-run cities like Baltimore, Chicago, or Detroit, or any city run by a black person is like living in hell.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm not saying correlation equals causation, but if you look at Chicago, New York, D.C., San Francisco, L.A., right? I'm just saying there's a common denominator there that we must consider in regards to who's running the city, okay, and the outcomes, okay, that have happened in the city as a result of the leadership.
And if you're curious what a white boy summer might look like to the MAGA right, well, they told participants during the convention, and we'll share that with you next.
Yeah, so again, apparently, White Boy Summer, celebrating White Boy Summer is a form of white supremacy, right? This is what they're saying, okay? And this all comes from Joy Reid being triggered by white people attending a black church to see Trump, right? I mean, it's so funny to me how she's so overtly racist, right? While at the same time complaining about the racism of everybody else, but she quite literally is very racist towards whites. But again, I think a lot of it really comes from the fact that Joy Reid doesn't really love herself. Okay, she doesn't really like herself. In fact, she probably hates herself, which is why she goes out of her way to try to change what she looks like so much. Okay, wearing all these blonde wigs. Okay, I mean, this woman is so Trump deranged that she was starting to look like him at one point, right? She was starting to look like Trump. But again, I really do think that deep down, she does not like herself. She has very low self-esteem. And she secretly wants to be white. She wishes that she was born white, and this is why she goes out of her way to hate white people so much. And because she knows that she can never be white, she settles for, I guess, the next best thing for her, which is to cosplay as a black woman whose family has been here for generations and descended from slaves. Even though, again, she didn't go through that. She didn't experience that. All these things she boohoo whines and cries about, she has no real connection to. But yet, again, if you listen to her, she's soul sister number one out here, okay? But she doesn't even love herself enough to wear her natural hair or her natural hair color or eyelashes that are natural, or, you know, not wear all that makeup, and to simply just be okay and happy with her natural black features, right? Well, again, the reason why is because she doesn't really like who she is, right? She actually does not like herself, and this is why she goes so far to take out her anger, hate, and vitriol on other people who she wishes that she could be like, okay? And that shows up in her appearance. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.